शुक्लां वरदनं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. Okay, so we were looking at the gist of the 18 Puranas and we were on Vishnu Purana, that is there. So we had seen the story of Vishnu Purana, and we also saw certain, if you see, few points we had discussed. And out of this, I told you that about the avatara of Buddha, we will say in detail, but maybe not today. Why not today? I will tell you because that's got a detailed story, and we have this story which again gets repeated in the Bhagavata Purana. So, in that context, we will see in detail. Uh, Here, then, if you talk, the next point that we see is the life story of Krishna. I hope all of you can see my screen. Yeah, the life story of Krishna that is there that we see. So different Krishna Leela stories and so on. So many stories that are a part of. One second, screen is not. Yeah. So many stories, like we have the normal Srimad Bhagavatam stories and so on. You will have the same repetition of stories in the Vishnu Purana also. Few stories might be additional. So maybe the entire story of Krishna, or you also have certain the childhood stories of Krishna, how he spent his life in Gokul, Vrindavan, Mathura, and so on. Then there are certain rituals, or you can say certain vratas that we do in praise of Lord Vishnu alone. So especially this is done during certain masas. In fact, the Kurma Purana highlights more about this. Kurma Purana talks about many rituals which are to be done. Now, mostly if you see, most of us, we are familiar with the Ekadashi Vrata that many of us might be doing, or maybe the Dwadashi Vrata, or on every Pradosham we worship Lord Shiva. Beyond this, many things we are not aware, right? Or maybe every Chaturthi, Sankatahara Chaturthi, we worship Lord Ganesha. But on every Navami, there are certain things, certain vratas that are to be done. Every Saptami, every Ashtami, like this for every Tithi that are there. For even Prathama, every Amavasya, every full moon night, we have certain vratas that are done. In fact, for every day, there are certain vratas which can be done. So the Prathama of every month is in a month twice, right? So in a year, if you say, it is roughly about 24 or so. There are certain rituals that are done. So these are all certain rituals in praise of Lord Vishnu, wherein during certain months also, it's not that all the year round. Maybe you start certain rituals in the month of December, that is in the month of Margashirsha, you end it again in Margashirsha, that way. So it's not that you go like the English calendar, you start in Jan, you end in December, nothing of that sort. There are certain months, like the month of Kartika is auspicious for the worship of Lord Shiva, Margashirsha for the worship of Lord Vishnu, the goddess, and so on. Like this, there are certain months, or just as in Kerala, the months of July, August, roughly, we celebrate as a Ramayana Masam, right? Wherein Ramayana is chanted a lot. Or in the month of Shravan, that we have very auspicious, we have a lot of rituals coming in. But now, one thing we have to note, whenever we have, like for example, let's take the Shravan Masa. In the month of Shravan Masa or the Chatur Masa, which our Shankaracharyas, Acharyas, they follow, they don't travel much, right? Now, we should not look at this only with the religious aspect, saying that, oh, it's a Shravan Masa, very auspicious, many festivals come in, our acharyas don't venture out, and so on. There is a practical reason behind this. It is believed that now Shravan Masas, you have the peak rainy season in Bharatadesha. At this time, what happens is, first of all, practically, it becomes very difficult to travel during rainy season. That is one part. Second reason is you also have lot of insects and creatures that are there which come out of the ground, which come out of bhumi during the rainy season. So at this time when we travel, it is believed that many, if you see the acharas or so, for us also during rainy season we cannot walk, right? Even if you have proper shoes, this and that, it becomes very difficult. We don't have an option, so we do things. But in general, if you see, we don't venture out much, and mostly traveling this that we avoid during those months. And mostly if you see all through the world that is there during the rainy season, we don't have a holiday also, the summer vacation, winter vacation that we have. So of course there are different reasons. You have certain countries also like the Middle East, they will have it during that period. That's because of the festival that they have there. But the point is, why every month or certain rituals that we follow, it's not that only there is a religious thing that is associated, there are also practical reasons. Why the Chaturmasam is observed then is because of this. You have peak rainy season that is there. Practically, it becomes difficult to venture out. You have a lot of insects coming out of bhumi, out of the ground there. So we end up stamping and killing many small creatures. So that's the reason wherever we are, we should stay there. These are all practical things that are told. So like this are rituals like certain masas, or why we don't even consume those who consume non-vegetarian food also, why they don't eat during this time. One is again the religious aspect, many festivals coming. Another reason is you have the rainy season that is there, so it becomes difficult for the fishes, this and that, for the fishermen to go out for fishing and such things that happen. So that's the reason people avoid. So like this, for all the different rituals that we do or things have been mentioned, there is also a practical and logical purpose behind things. All this is highlighted in detail in the Vishnu Purana. So that's why when we are just talking about the gist of Puranas, somewhere the interest should develop that I should read the original Puranam also. The Vishnu Purana also is home to a lot of stotras that are there. So it talks about, of course, in praise of Lord Vishnu only. Then you have the history of Badrikashrama, that is today's Badrinath Dham, and other important stories and temples near Badrinath. So next time, anyone you go for the Chota Char Dham Yatra, popularly we call it as a Char Dham Yatra. That is not so. It's actually the Chota Char Dham. Badrinath, Kedarnath, Gangotri, Yamunotri, Chota Char. The other Char Dham, anyone knows? What is actually the Char Dham Yatra? That is this one, right? Badri, Kedar, and all. Manasa. That is not the Char Dham Yatra. Though people call it popularly the Char Dham Yatra, it is actually the Chota Char Dham. Char Dham is Puri, Rameshwaram, Badri, Dwarka. This is actually the Char Dham Yatra. Once in a lifetime, every Hindu should worship this temple. That's what is told here. Or every Bharatiya, let's put it that way. Dwarka, Puri, Rameshwaram, Badri, Kedar, whatever. So this is actually the Char Dham Yatra. Badri, Dwarka, Puri and Rameshwaram. This is actually the Char Dham Yatra, which every Bharatiya should visit. But today's times we call the Badri, Kedar, Gangotri, Yamunotri that is there, which we go from Uttarakhand, that you go in the same phase. That is actually the Chota Char Dham Yatra. It has become popular. So whenever you go to this Badrika Ashrama, so little such things we have to be careful. When we say the Char Dham that we say in our scriptures also, we have the mention of these four places only: Puri, Rameshwaram, Dwarka, and Badri. Now, the significance, here we have the topic of Badrinatha. Now, many people, it is a very sorry state, I'm not saying maybe all of you, but many people don't know that in Badrinath, actually, you have Lord Vishnu who is worshipped there by the Nambutris of Kerala. This is something which is not known. People feel that just because in Gangotri, origin of Ganga, Yamunotri, origin of Yamuna, Kedarnath is one of the Jyotirlingas, but in Badrinath, it's a temple and place of Vishnu. Badri, Kedar, when we keep on calling it, people feel Badri also is a place for Lord Shiva. It is not so. It is a place for Lord Vishnu. That too, Nara and Narayana. So, an avatara of Vishnu and Krishna and Arjuna, you can call it. Sage is Nara and Narayana. Narayana, Lord Vishnu himself. Nara is Arjuna. Both these avatars, Nara Narayanas, is believed that they are doing tapasya there in Badrikashrama. So the significance of Badrikashrama or Badrinath Dham is, even today we have to visit this place and do tapasya at least for 5 minutes. You must sit at Badrikashrama and do tapasya. Just as for every kshetram, it has got its importance, right? You go to Tirupati, it has to be Kalyanotsavam, Brahmotsavam. You go to Jagannath Puri, you have the Chappan Bhog. Food is offered there. You go to again any Shiva temple, Jyotirlinga also, you have the Abhisheka that is done. So for, or you go to Guruvayur, continuously you have the chanting of Bhagavatam, Narayanyam and so on. So for every place, every kshetram has got its mahima, right? You go to that place, that thing is auspicious. You go to Mahakareshwar, Ujjain and maybe Kashi also, the Pindadanam that we do, that is very, very auspicious. Or even in the Trimbakeshwar, Nasik that we go, people do the Pindadanam, things like that, it is very auspicious. So for every place that is there, you have a Kshetra Mahima, significance of that place. Similarly, for Badrinatha, Badrikashrama, the Kshetra Mahima is doing tapasya. Uddhava, Bhagavan's friend, dear friend, also, he also went to Badrikashrama You have Balarama, the Lord's elder brother, who went to Badrikashrama towards the end of his life, along with his wife Revati. So, like this, there are many people who have visited Badrikashrama. It is said that the presence of Nara and Narayana is there even till date. They are still meditating, it seems, in Badrikashrama. So, that is the significance here. Many temples in and around Badrikashrama, today we call it as Badrinath. So, it is one and the same place. It is believed that there are many temples in and around, so that entire history, so it's like a proper travel guide. If you go through Vishnu Purana, Skanda Puranam and so on, they're like a travel guide from where what is there, that too with numerical distance values it is being mentioned. So if you want, you can refer to that and go and visit all such places. In fact, in today's time, such places would not, you will not even know that such a place exists, but it has got the mention in these Puranas. It is also believed that you also have a story behind Badrinatha. It is said that Badrikashrama is one of those dhams or one of those places which is going to vanish very soon. You would have also seen it in the, maybe not very recently, but at least a few years back. That is, in the Kali Yuga, you have uh, it is said that only on one pillar or one point or something you have some reference of Narasimhamurti. I'm not able to recollect the story that is there. But Badrika Ashrama is very going to disappear very soon, as per the stories that are there in Kali Yuga or so on. Just one part is remaining and so on. A hand or something like that. It is believed that it is Narasimha's hands or something, and only one part of the hand, only on that actually the Badrika Ashrama is actually existing. Once that hand moves, the dham itself will vanish, just as we have river Saraswati and so on vanishing today. So whoever wants to visit Badrika Ashrama, the point is please make a trip soon. That too, it is always better if you do it in our young days. Then we never know it. So if anyone wants to visit, visit it soon. That too after reading Vishnu Puranam little. Vishnu Purana has got a lot of places in and around Badrikashrama. So you can go through that and then you visit the place. It will make the travel more worthwhile. So this is about Vishnu Purana. Very, very auspicious. Like the reading of Srimad Bhagavatam, we also have the reading of Vishnu Purana, which is done in many places. But it is, some people don't know about this. They will read Srimad Bhagavatam only, but it is very, very auspicious to read even Vishnu Purana. Okay, next Purana. So till here, could everyone follow? Yes. Okay. Next we continue. Next is the Shiva Purana. Shiva Purana or Vayu Purana. Another name for Shiva Purana is Vayu Purana. Now, Shiva Puranam, we have a Shiva Purana in Tamil. So that is the reason why Vayu Puranam, you have this another name, Vayu Puranam. So don't get confused, both are totally different. So therefore, Shiva Puranam, Vayu Puranam are one and the same only. You will have certain, in fact, those who maybe study Sanskrit also as your exams, in that you will have one of your subjects as Purana. So in that, a definite, like a question which is very, very common also. You can always remember this. Let's not just consider it as a part of exams also. Which Purana is Vayu Purana? Some people will get confused. Or another name for Vayu Puranam, Shiva Purana. People feel Shiva Puranam and Linga Puranam. Linga Puranam is totally different. Though it has got some Shiva, Linga, it is similar, people feel, but no. Vayu Puranam, another name for Vayu Puranam is Shiva Puranam. Or another name for Shiva Puranam is Vayu Puranam. Okay? Yeah. Okay. Now here, obviously in the Shiva Purana, what you have the references, you have all the stories of Shiva and Parvati, the different rituals that are done for the Shivalinga, the different Abhisheka, the Bilva Patram, and so on that are offered. All this is mentioned. Then you have geography that is mentioned in the Vayu Purana or Shiva Purana of Jambudvipa. That's why in Sankalpa we chant Jambudvipe, Bharatavarshe, Bharatakande, Megho, Ashwine, Pathe, Meroho. When we say there's actually the Meru Parvata. Okay, so this Jambudvipa, in that we have the Ardesha, Bharatadesha. हिमालयं समारभ्य यावत् इन्दुसरोवरं तं देवनिर्मितं देशं हिन्दुस्तानं प्रचक्षते. So this is a verse that is there. It is not a part of any Puranas, but this is what is said about Bharatadesha. If anyone wants, you can note it down. Himalayam samarabhya, starting from the Himalayas. Yavat Indusarovaram, till the Indian Ocean. Tam Devanirmitam Desham, that country which is made by gods. Hindustanam Prachakshate, it's called as Hindustan. You don't like the name Hindustan? Recent times it has been changed. Bharatadesham Prachakshate. Some people will not like, right? Why Hindustan? So Bharatadesha, anything you call it. In Himalayam samarabhya yavat Indu sarovaram tam deva nirmitam desham Hindustanam prachakshate or Bharatadesham prachakshate. Such country which ranges starting from the Himalayas till the Indian Ocean, which is created by gods, that country is Bharatadesha. So this is a description of Bharatadesha. Our country has also got a shloka on itself. Now, shloka every time may not have some only religious significance also. It's not at all so. Shloka can be in praise of anything. Stutim karoti iti shloka. Something which is in praise. So the Bharatadesha itself is defined in this shloka. Then you have again Daksha sacrifice which is mentioned, Shiva and Sati Kalyanam which takes place, destruction of Dakshayagam, Shiva Parvati Kalyanam. Now please note there are different avatars of Parvati. Shiva Sati, Shiva Parvati. Though they are all known, Sati, Dakshayani, Aparna, they are all forms of Parvati only, but the stories are different. So in detail if you want to read about Shiva stories and a must read Shiva Purana. Why so is many times we are familiar with the avatars and stories of Vishnu but not of Shiva. Why so? Because Srimad Bhagavatam has become very, very popular, right? So therefore, we know about those stories, or maybe Krishna Leela stories and so on. Maybe our parents, grandparents keep on telling us. So we get used to that. But Shiva Purana or Shiva Leela stories that are there, maybe we don't know about the birth story of Shiva and so on. But even Shiva also has his avatars. The goddess also has her avatars. This you get in the Devi Bhagavatam also. There is, just as we have Srimad Bhagavatam, you have Devi Bhagavatam. Is anyone familiar? Devi Bhagavatam? No? Have you have heard it, yes, right? Huh. Anyone can chant it, you should learn it in case. Even I myself have just gone through it, I don't know that way. But Devi Bhagavatam and Srimad Bhagavatam, even number of verses are equal. For your information, if you want, you can note it down. 18,000 verses, exactly. So that has got lot of stories related to the goddess. Why I'm just giving you these references is we feel that things that are common only those things exist. Like Krishna, okay, Krishna Avatara. Rama, we have the Ramayana, very famous. Mahabharata is there, that exists. No. Apart from that, there are many things also. Like the Markandeya Purana. It talks about Devi Mahatmyam, the glories of Devi, how the goddess she fights with demons. Right? Today Devi Mahatmyam or Durga Saptashati that we call has become very popular. But its source origin is from the Markandeya Purana. Similarly, Lalita Sahasranama, which is a part of our everyday lives for most of us. Maybe you chant every Tuesday, Friday, whatever it is. Even if you don't chant, everyone has heard about it. It's from the Brahmanda Purana. Ishte Brahmanda Purane, Uttarakhande, Hayagriva, Agastya Samvade, Lalita Sahasranama Stotram Sampurnam, we chant, right? In fact, you have in the Brahmanda Puranam, when we'll see in detail, you have Lalita Upakhyanam, a story for goddess Lalita. Things, even if you see Lalita Sahasranama that we chant, we start from the Dhyana Shloka, Sindura Aruna Vigraham, or maybe from the Nyasa, Asya Shri Lalita Sahasranama from there, and you conclude at 183, right? Asya Shri, sorry, Iti Brahmanda Purani till there. But actually, you have a Purva Khanda also, that is the preface of Lalita Sahasranama. You have an Uttara Khanda that talks about Phalashruti. Like we have for Vishnu Sahasranama, Ididam Kirtaniyasya Keshavasya Manaha. There is a Phalashruti. Phalashruti today has become a part of Vishnu Sahasranama. For Lalita Sahasranama, it does not become. But still, there is a Phalashruti also. That is nothing but the Uttara Bhagam. So you have a Purva Bhagam, the main Sahasranama, and the Uttara Bhagam. Lalita Sahasranama, one of those Sahasranamas wherein not a single name of the goddess is repeated. All 1,000 names are different. Vishnu Sahasranama, other Sahasranamas, you have few names that are repeated. Of course, the meaning changes. Though the name will be same, the meaning changes as per context. Okay, so coming back to the point, like this, there are many Sahasranamas, many stotras that are there, which today we feel or which today are very much common, but their source is from the Puranas. So the point of telling you is the Puranas are all rich sources of treasure and knowledge. Unfortunately, we don't know about this. Brahmanda Puranam, Lalita Sahasranama, Vishnu Sahasranama, you have it from the Mahabharata, another one from Garuda Puranam. Garuda Puranam, people dread the name, right? But it is not at all. So you have the 1,000 names of Lord Vishnu in the Garuda Purana, that too in the initial part itself. Then Shiva Sahasranama comes. Then you have Ganesha Sahasranama. Ganesha Sahasranama from, if I'm not wrong, I think Brahma Vaivarta Purana or Brahmanda Puranam is Ganesha Sahasranama. We'll have to check. That Mudgala Puranam is also there. And you also have Ganesha Sahasranama from Ganesha Purana. That is now one very interesting aspect. It's not related to this topic, but still, Ganesha Sahasranama from Ganesha Puranam is so interesting that all the thousand names of Ganesha start with G. Gakara Sahasranam. Ganesha, Ganadipaha, Ganaraja, and so on. All the thousand names are starting with G. Like this, there are two Ganesha Sahasranamas. So like this, there are different Sahasranamas that are there, which start, and apart from that, there is one more Ganesha Sahasranama, Lakshmi Sahasranama, Durga Sahasranama. So most of all our Sahasranamas, Stotras also, they have their source in all these Puranas. Now coming back, in this Vayu Purana, again, you have the story of human anatomy, Garbhopanishad that we had seen. Do all of you remember the topic of Garbhopanishad? Few of us we had seen. Nobody remembers. Wow. Ah, Garbhopanishad, if you remember, it was a topic which we had seen during these sessions. Maybe few of you were not there, I don't know. But Garbhopanishad, it has also got its roots. Now, in that text which we had seen, that entire topic of Garbhopanishad or this human anatomy, embryology, it the roots little we had not seen there directly. Garbhopanishad as a separate text we had seen, but its roots are somewhere in the Shiva Puranam, or you can find some references in the Shiva Puranam. That is a very deep topic that those of us who had seen this together, if you remember, it was quite interesting, right? And each and every aspect, so much in detail, has been mentioned, quite similar to medical science that we see even till date, how a child grows, first month, second month, third month, fourth month, then till the ninth month, how if each body part develops and so on. Medical science will lose, but Garbhopanishad doesn't lose. That is the significance. So that is also mentioned here. You also have the story of Kartikeya and Ganesha. Now, for the birth of Kartikeya and Ganesha. For the birth of Kartikeya, you can also always refer to Kumara Sambhavam written by Kalidasa. Of course, it is just a Natakam. We cannot compare it to Puranas, but somewhere it is also quite Kumara Sambhavam, meaning the birth of, or how Kumara or how Kartikeya came into being. That is the story of Kumara Sambhavam. So how it starts from right from the beginning, how goddess Parvati, she prayed to Lord Shiva to accept her as his wife. Finally, the marriage takes place between Shiva and Parvati. Shiva comes and he tests Girija. There, the name that comes is Girija. In Kumara Sambhavam, he tests Parvati, saying that I'm a mendicant. I'm like you can say a person who lives in Smashana with Bhasma all over my body. Why do you want to marry me? There are so many handsome men in the world. Why do you want to marry me? This is a question which Shiva disguises himself as a mendicant. He comes in front of Parvati and questions, saying that why do you want to marry me? There are so many men out there. You want to marry me, a mendicant, like a beggar, also living in a smashana, wearing skulls all over my body, where living with bhutaganas. My hair is just dismantled, this and that. It's not very pleasing to look at. Why do you want to marry me? And at that time, Parvati says that physical looks don't matter for me. For me, I want to be one with Shiva. That's the reason I want it. Like this, there are many tests which Shiva takes. Just let's not just call it as a test, just to see whether why Parvati actually wants to marry Shiva. To know about that, Shiva keeps on questioning Parvati. So a very beautiful conversation between Shiva and Parvati. And finally, it results in the how the sneham between both of them develops, how it results into marriage, and finally the birth of Kartikeya. Now, the birth of Kartikeya is highlighted in many places. One is the Shiva Puranam, Vayu Puranam. Second is in the Kumara Sambhavam of Kalidasa. Third is in the Valmiki Ramayana. Valmiki Ramayana, Balakandam. You have the birth of Kartikeya, Skanda, that is highlighted. That actually is through the six Kritikas that are there. Ganga Nadi, actually. Ganga was said to be the sister of Parvati. Ganga was responsible for the birth of Skanda. Then you have through the six Kritikas, that's how the name is Kartikeya, and that's how the Lord Kartikeya has got six heads, Shadana, Shanmukha, and so on. So biologically, Parvati could not give birth to any kids. That's why the birth of Kartikeya and Ganesha is a bit different. Of course, different Puranas have different versions that are there, but this is what is a popular notion. Next, you have the forms of Kala Bhairava. Kala Bhairavashtakam, few of you might be famous. Devaraja Sevamana Pavanagri Pankajam Vyala Yajna Sutram Indusekaram Kripakaram. It is composed by Adi Shankaracharya, wherein he also talks about the different, you can say, the features or even the form of Kalabhairava that is described in the Kalabhairavashtakam. Beautiful composition in just 8 verses. So from where Kala Bhairava is nothing but the, in simple terms, you call as a god of death, but one who actually determines our time. So just as we have goddess Kali, we have goddess called the Lord Kala Bhairava. Kala Bhairava, form of Shiva, goddess Kali, form of Parvati. They are nothing but time. Time, when we say time, Kala is nothing. Kala is equal to death. Right? When we say your time has come, that means it's actually person's time to leave the body has come. Death has come. So Kala Bhairava, when it is said, is from where life starts, life ends at a particular point, that is told by Kala Bhairava. Then you have the birth story of Nandi, which is described. Now, we don't have time to see each and every story in detail, so that's why I'm just telling you the gist. Those who are interested, you please delve deep into this and read those stories. And you also have the origins of the 12 Jyotirlingas. I'll just tell you about Someshwara. Saurashtre Somanatham Cha Shri Shaile Mallikarjunam Ujjainyam Mahakalam Omkaram Amaleshwaram Paralyam Vaidyanatham Chadakinyam Bhimashankaram Setubande tu Ramesham Nagesham Darukavane Varanasyam tu Vishvesham Trambakam Gautami Tate Himalaye tu Kedaram Bhushmesham cha Shivalaye एतानि ज्योतिर्लिङ्गानि सायं प्रातपठेन्नरः सप्तजन्मकृतं पापं स्मरणेन विनश्यति. So this is the shloka. And you have a detailed Dwadasha Jyotirlinga Stotram also. I just did. Now the story of Someshwara, Somnath, that we say today. Someshwara or Somnath is one of those Jyotirlingas. If you see, if you read through the history of Somnath, you'll know that this place has been destroyed 12 times by the Mughals. If I'm not wrong, 12 or 15, 12 only. All the 12 times it has been rebuilt. And of course, recently you have the corridor, this and that. Anyone has visited Somnath recently after the new corridor? Oh, you would have seen maybe how beautiful it is, right? But 12 times, nobody ever knows that 12 times this temple has been destroyed and all the 12 times it has been rebuilt. This itself shows the glory of this place, and still it stands erect. Like this, Somnath is just one example. We have so many temples, so many uh, temples like this which have been destroyed multiple times by invaders, and still they stand erect. And it is said that Somnath, if you go, you can actually see those the idols and scriptures that are there. They're just plainly kept, it seems, in the premises, maybe not within now. Recently you have the corridor and things like that, but there's so much of inscriptions and old scriptures, old idols or so, that are just broken and kept loosely, it seems. This shows that 12 times, every time when the Mughals came and invaded and they broke these temples, all these scriptures also, they have been destroyed. The amount of scriptures is so huge that they are just kept about plainly or loosely in open, so that whenever people come, you can see. I don't know whether they have just, this is what was the story at least till last year. Maybe now they have kept it in a particular place or so. I don't know. So the point is, Somnatha or Someshwara, the first linga, the first Jyotirlinga itself has got a lot of significance and importance. It is believed that Lord Moon God, Soma, he has come and worshipped Someshwara here. The story comes in detail in the Vayu Puranam, that is in the Shiva Puranam, in order to incur or to be free. Once upon a time, Daksha Prajapati. Daksha Prajapati, if you remember last time I had told you when we were seeing the Brahma Puranam, that Daksha Prajapati, he had married off 27 nakshatras to the moon god. But what happened is, out of the 27 nakshatras, I hope everyone is familiar with your own Janma nakshatra that you have, that is with related to the stars, Ashwini, Bharani, Rohini, and so on. So, moon god had developed, now though there are 27 nakshatras, the moon god had feelings only towards Rohini. Only towards Rohini he had developed a lot of feelings. And this is something which, and he used to neglect all the other 26 nakshatras, 26 daughters of Daksha. And he had only a lot of feelings towards Rohini. So this, as usual, Daksha as a father, with which he felt very enraged, because the daughters used to come and complain, Soma is only busy with Rohini, he doesn't care for us, he doesn't love us, this and that. So he, Daksha Prajapati, he cursed, saying that you will lose all your luster that is there. Now there is also another significance wherein you have Soma also marrying Buddha, also begetting a son Buddha through another means, not through Rohini, not through one of his wives. So that's how you have the Soma Vamsha that comes, Soma, Buddha, and so on. It flows about Soma Vamsha. How Soma Vamsha actually started is, you have, from Soma had actually he had a relationship with another woman. That's how the lineage actually starts. He had a son and so. So due to such things done by the moon god, now there are these are two completely different stories. So in different Puranas, you have different versions. So that's why I'm telling you. So one is Daksha curses him, saying that you love only one of my daughters, Rohini. What about the others? You will lose all your luster and charm. For the moon shine, moonlight is everything, right? If it loses on a new moon day, the moon has got no value. You cannot see the moon. Correct. Doesn't mean that the moon has disappeared, but moon, if you cannot see the moon, so until and unless you see something, there is no value for it. But like the full moon day and the full moon night, how charming or how shining the moon is, we like to look at the moon, right? On all other days, it's like it's okay. The moon is there, is not there, and so on. Or maybe on a new moon day, we lose interest totally. For us, there is moon doesn't exist, right? So for a moon, its charm is very important. Moon and the sun. The sunlight also, if the sun's rays are not shining, they're not hot, it doesn't make any difference, right? There's no use of the sun being there in the sky. Sometimes we experience it. No, but sun is there, but maybe my clothes are not dry. It's not that hot. Sun's rays are not that sharp. So it's of no use. Even though the sun is there in the sky, sun rays are not powerful, it's useless. Similarly, moon, though the moon is there, the charm is not there. The light of the moon is not there, shine is not there, everything is useless. So he lost his luster that is there. One reference I told you, Daksha had cursed him. Another reference is maybe he had begetted this son through another woman. If I'm not wrong, she was Tara. That's what I remember. I'm not very sure on the name. Uh, and that's the reason why. That's how you have the beginning of Soma Vamsha. You have the Pandavas and so on belonging to that Vamsha. So that was another reason why he had got this curse. So the point is the moon god had got a curse, and in order to, and he had lost all his charm and shine. So in order to pay for his sins, he comes to this place on the Paschima Tatam. Paschima Tatam is on the western coast. He comes and he prays to Lord Someshwara. He prays to Lord Shiva. He makes a Shivalingam there. He worships Shiva. That's how the name comes as Somanatha, the Lord of the moon god. That is nothing but Somanatha or Someshwara. So this is the story of the Somanatha Jyotirlinga. Next you have the Naganatha Jyotirlinga or the Nageshwaram, wherein there you have, now in all these places you have the presence of Lord Shiva that is spread. They are all Swayambhu also we see, these Shivalingas. In this reference you have Lord Somanatha, Lord Soma, moon god has come and made the Shivalingam, invoked Shiva, Shiva came there and blessed him actually. So in all these places you have the physical appearance of Shiva that has taken place in all these Jyotirlingas. Naganatha Darukavanam, if you see, I'm just telling you the story in short. Shiva himself in the Darukavanam, it's actually a forest there. I think the Naganatha Jyotirlinga is quite near Dwarka. If you visit Dwarka, you can worship the Naganatha Jyotirlinga. Uh, so here what happens is a lot of sages they were praying to Lord Shiva, but and they felt they had a sense of pride in them that only we are great. Our wives also, they are just like they don't have any devotion, this and that. So they used to feel that only we worship our wives and our family members, they don't have any devotion. So the wives obviously they did not like. So they used to always say, like when they used to do the worship, sacrifice also in place of Lord Shiva, they used to never call out their wives. So they used to always say, no, you be at home, you do the chores, this and that. So the wives never like this. At this time, what happens is Shiva he appears like you can say a madman or something like that in this Darukavanam, and he dances. It seems the Tandava, not actually a Tandava Nritya, and he just moves about freely. Like now, when we call a madman, sometimes a yogi is also called mad, right? Mad in the sense one who has no awareness of his surroundings. So like this, Shiva he comes there in Pratyaksham in Darukavanam, and that's how even the wives also of the sages they also are afraid to see this form of the Lord. They could worship the Lord there. The sages also realize their mistake. That's how you have the Naganatha Jyotirlinga which comes. So Shiva, he comes in the Darukavanam. That's how he is worshipped in the Naganatha Jyotirlinga. Kedarnath, we knew that the Pandavas wished to worship Lord Shiva, but Shiva did not like because they had fought the Dharma Yuddham, they had killed people, this and that. So Shiva did not want to give them darshana. He assumes the form of a bull and keeps running about in Kailasa. Bhima, the second of the Pandavas, he chases Shiva, and when he finds particularly Shiva in the form of a bull, he holds his hump that is there, the hump of Shiva, and that's how even today, if you see the Kedarnath Jyotirlinga, the shape of the Jyotirlinga is like a bull's hump, right? So only the hump remains, Shiva vanishes from there. That's how you have the Kedareshwara Jyotirlinga, which is worship. Like this, for each Jyotirlinga, you have the story. Rameshwaram, you have Lord Rama. who worships Lord Shiva, who invokes Shiva. For Rameshwaram, a very beautiful uh, thing that is said is Rama said, Ramasya Ishwaraha Rameshwaraha. Lord of Rama is Rameshwara. That is Shiva. Shiva does not like this. He puts it other way around. Both of them, they play with Sanskrit Vyakaranam. They say Ramaha Yasya Ishwaraha Rameshwaraha. Shiva puts it this way. One whose Lord is Rama, that is this Rameshwara. So this again shows Shaiva, Vaishnava, Shaivas and Vaishnava unity that is there. Shiva and Rama, they are worshippers of each other. Shiva is always engrossed in chanting Ramanama, meditating on Rama. And Shiva, Rama also throughout his life, he worships Shiva and so on. So Ramasya Ishwaraha Rameshwaraha Tatpurusha Samasa. It's a compound word in Sanskrit called Tatpurusha Samasa. It's okay. Many of you might not be aware, but at least we should know. So I'm just telling you. And Shiva does Ramaha Yasya Ishwaraha Rameshwaraha. One whose Lord is Rama, that is Rameshwara. It's a Bahuvrihi Samasa, a type of, both are compound words. They're just called two different types. That's it. So this is the Rameshwara Jyotirlinga. Like this, for every Jyotirlinga, you have its own significance that is there. Mahakaleshwara is in Ujjain, that is only Dakshinamukhi uh, Jyotirlingam. It faces the south direction because it represents death or Kala. You see, usually when a person passes away, we have things in the south direction, right? So that's how it represents Dakshina Dakshina Disha. And if you remember Ujjain Mahakal, we had seen the time calculation that is. Today, though we consider the Greenwich time, in those times the equator passes through the central part of Bharatadesha, and you can see in Ujjain the time calculation used to take place. So that is how you have the name even Mahakaleshwara. Mahakaleshwara, you also have the Shakti Pita there. So that is also one aspect, a place wherein you have the Jyotirlinga as well as the Shakti Pita both in one place. That is this. Okay. Next is you have, so like this, you have the detailed story of Jyotirlingas that is mentioned in the Shiva Puranam. There are also other Puranas where you have the story of the Jyotirlinga. So Jyotirlinga is a concept which is told in many places. So it's not limited to only one place. It's told in many places. Okay, let's continue. Shiva Puranam, could everyone follow? Yes? Okay. Okay, Bhagavata Puranam, let's consider towards the end. Let's talk about Narada. Now, Narada Purana. One second. Now, Narada Purana, again, it is, you can say somewhat, okay, this Vayu Puranam, if you want, you can just note down the number of verses if you want to know, roughly close to more than 10,000 verses. Roughly, you can consider about 11 to 12,000 verses is this Vayu Puranam. Next is you have the Narada Purana. So, Narada Purana, as usual, it talks about different Varnashrama dharmas that are there. Uh, Now, in general, if you see the Narada Purana, it is actually divided into few parts. One is it talks about different stotras and shlokas that are there. Roughly, there are close to about 120 plus chapters in the Narada Purana. And in this, you have, it is divided into different parts. One talks about the universe, the creation, how the universe has originated, and so on. Second part talks about different rituals and ways of worship. Then a third part, that is the mention of different fasts, vratas, and so on. I told you, right? Like the Ekadashi Vrata, we have different kinds of vratas that are done. That is seen here. And you have different mantras that are told for different purposes. Like, for example, you have a snake bite that is there, for that a certain mantra and so on. So, like this, things are there. And Narada Puranam has got another name. It is also called as Vaishnava Purana. Narada Purana or Vaishnava Purana. Another name for Narada Purana is Vaishnava Purana. And in this Purana, Narada Puranam, you can consider it's like an encyclopedia. Now, all Puranas are encyclopedic in nature, but this is more because it talks about, maybe you say, little bit of Vyakaranam, little bit of Ganita, maths, that is a little bit of grammar, little bit of Kalpashastram. Then You have Chanda Shastram, the science of meters, poetics, and so on. So little of everything. It's like it gives information about everything in general, and roughly it has got about 21 to 22,000 verses. And here, now all these Puranas, if you see, they have been told by a sage Romaharshana to a set of disciples in a forest called Naimisharanyam. Naimisharanyam, which is in today's Madhya Bharata, that is central Bharata. You have a pilgrimage spot called Naimisharanyam. There you have this place, and there all this telling of Puranas has taken place. Now Puranas have been told from the Lord to this, from Brahma to Narada, Narada to like this. It keeps on going, but when we have the compilation as told by Vyasacharya, Vyasa mentions that there was a person, a sage called Romaharshana. He tells to a set of disciples, set of sages in a place in a forest called Naimisharanya, which is a pilgrimage spot today. Now, uh, as usual, in the Narada Purana, I told you there are certain rituals and pratas that are told. We also talk about the Varnashrama dharmas. So there are different Varnas, different ashramas, four Varnas: Brahmana, Vaishya, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. A very narrow or a very wrong translation is caste. Caste or class, no. Lord himself highlights in the Gita. Sorry. That the four Varanas that he has made, I think, if I'm not wrong, I think chapter 4 of the Gita also, wherein he highlights saying that the four Varanas that I have created in the society or that are there in the society, it's based on karma and action that is there. Karma and the duties, the nature of everyone. So Brahmins are known for the teaching purpose, they were indulgent teaching, so it became Brahm- Brahmins. Kshatriyas were known for protection and the administration part, they became Kshatriyas. Vaishyas or the business community, Shudras were the service sector. In today's times, if you see, all of us actually belong to this Shudra community only. That is, we render our services. Right? Most of us, we work for a company also. What we do, our contributions are we are rendering our services for one particular company. So we are working under someone, we are giving our services. So in that context, if you see, we are also Shudras. Just because we are born in a particular, I am born in a Brahmin family, I am born in this family, that family, doesn't make one a Brahmin or Shudra also. Right? We can all be born in Brahmin families. If we are not indulged in teaching and learning, it's useless. You are not a Brahmin. Right? Or a Kshatriya also. In today's times, it doesn't now. In those times, people will feel Kshatriya has to just go and fight wars also. It's not always that way. The administration part, or in today's times, you have so-called ministers, governments, and so on. Right? What are they doing? Just corruption everywhere. They're not true Kshatriyas. Vaishyas, the business community. In fact, Rama was a Kshatriya. Krishna, though he was born as a Kshatriya, he was a Yadava, Yadava Kula, which is like the Vaishya. Or when he was taken care. His childhood was in Vrindavana, Gokula, in the midst of Nanda and Yashoda. What were they? It was a Vaishya community. They were dealing with the sell of in the they were dealing with the sell buying and selling of milk and milk products. That's a business community. If the Lord had to speak about Varnashrama caste systems, it is Varnashrama people very loosely and narrowly translated to be caste, this and that, and there's so much of controversy today, right? Reservation caste system. Lord never said so. Varanashrama dharmam he has created on the basis of one's own karma. So for this, I'll give you an example. In today's times, we have got so many of these different what to say, professions that we have: doctor, teacher, this, that. There's so many new professions coming in. In those times, when the society was small, usually it was small towns or villages, you will not find many professions, but you'll have a group of people who are responsible for teaching also. They fall in the category of Brahmins. Few of them, maybe they are physically strong, they have the qualities of administration, they fall in the Kshatriya category. Those who deal maybe in animal husbandry, agriculture, and so on, they fall in the Vaishya community. And those who are known for rendering services, maybe like housekeeping or sanitation, cleaning, and so on, or any kind of maybe like a wherever services are rendered somewhere, they were all into the Shudra community. So this was how the society was divided. Of course, in later times, a very, you can say, human minds are, we took things in a very wrong way, and that has corrupted our minds a lot. But we have to be very, very careful. Why I told you all this is Varna should not be loosely translated as caste or caste system. Let Varna be Varna, let Ashrama be Ashrama. Ashrama, Ashrama Dharmam, Brahmacharya Ashrama, student life, grihasthashrama, married life or family life, vanaprastha slowly you start retiring, and sannyasashrama finally you retire. So this is the stories of varnashrama dharma and duties of each varna and each dharma, how the society was divided. So with this, today we will stop here. Today, little we'll stop. I have to go somewhere. So, little we'll stop here today. We have just started with Narada Purana. We will continue with Narada Purana. We just discussed about the Varnashrama Dharmas. We'll continue from this next. Yeah.